My 11-year-old daughter, Emery, is taking a pickleball coaching clinic here in Naples with 7 other children every Monday for 6 or 7 weeks. And the other day, on the last Monday, this past Monday, was the final session with their coach. Guy does a terrific job. It's what he does. He has some young children of his own, so the guy really is one of those rare, outstanding teachers. He understands the kids. He makes it fun. He makes their introduction to a new sport fun and enjoyable, so that the kids have actually some enthusiasm, some passion for the sport. So it's wonderful to sit there as a father and see a coach who's actually a serious student of the craft. He knows how to talk to the kids. He knows how to demonstrate. He knows the 3 different ways that people learn: auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. The guy's a pro, and it's such a refreshing scene to sit there and see a true pro work with your children. Something that is not true pro is what happened at the pickleball clinic the other day. This is the final session, and he's been with these kids for 6 or 7 sessions. And I stood there and I went to the last session, even though my daughter Emery didn't attend. The reason she didn't attend is she is in a drama theater production that she's been working on here for the last 3 months, and the actual final week before the production went live was last week. So all of the actors had to be committed to whatever you want, 2-hour, 3-hour practices every night. So this was the only time in the last 3 years that Emery missed one of these clinic sessions. She's taken it now for 3 years. Every time we come back to Southwest Naples, we sign her up for this weekly clinic. So I'm standing there. I go to the last session. It's only 5-minute walk away, and I love to watch the coach with the kids. And it's interesting. He does the clinic, and then he gives everybody one of these medals. I call them 8th place trophy medals, participation medals. And he's one of these guys who's, I agree with everything the way he coaches. We certainly could have done without the medals. Nobody there deserved any participation medal or anything like that. I don't know why they do that stuff with the kids nowadays. It doesn't mean anything, and it wasn't the type of clinic where anybody earned, a championship medal that they're going to actually put on in their bedroom or in their trophy case. It doesn't make any sense to me. So he hands these out at the very end, and whether you agree with that or disagree with that is irrelevant. But what happened next is, to me, everything that's wrong with the Western world. United States, Canada, the entire West. People talk about, values and principles being eroded. Well, this is the cancer, in my opinion, that is at the core of so many of our problems. It is the erosion, the absolute erosion, and it's the fault of what I call my generation, the worst generation of parents in history. I call it cupcake parents raising snowflake children. And there's some outstanding parents, and not everybody fits into that mold, but I'll tell you, cupcake parents raising snowflake children. And nobody sees more of it than me. I coach hockey, I coach power skating. I have an 11-year-old. I'm in the homeschooling community. I see it every single day. Cupcake parents raising snowflake children. That's one thing, but boy, oh boy, what I couldn't believe is what I saw is here's this fantastic coach. He's been with them for 7 weeks, and each of the kids get their medal, and then they turn and they walk away. And I was right there, and I made a mental note of this. So you've got 6 or 7 kids in a gated community of all places, and not one single one of these children, and their ages, I'm going to say 8 to 13, not one single child said thank you to this coach. Not one. You know, they got their medals. They just grabbed them, and first of all, they don't thank them for handing them a medal and that they didn't earn. And then secondly, no thanks whatsoever for coaching them up the last 7 weeks. And I'm also very familiar with this as well. When I coach power skating, when I'm back home in Canada, I'll invest 15 of my Tuesday afternoons coaching kids for free. Again, the age is probably with the school is 5 to age 12. And I've done it now for 4 years. I totally volunteer my time, and I coach these kids. I set it up. Krista helps get the money. We deal with all the paperwork that comes with it, the liability. And we usually have between 10 and 15 kids a week. And once again, I buy pizza for the kids at the end of the skating session at Christmas. And it's just amazing how many of these kids, not all, but most, just walk out of the locker room after, you know, being part of a program that's basically free, $5 a week or whatever the hell it is to cover ice time, and never ever thank a coach, never thank the volunteers, never shake a hand, never make eye contact, nothing. And then we turn around and we wonder why this is the laziest, most selfish, and most entitled generation ever. Cupcake parents raising selfish, lazy, entitled poodles. And it's very difficult to blame the children. I mean, I hold the children accountable in situations like this. All at the end of my hockey practices, at the end of these skating sessions, we do a team cheer in the middle. It's no accident that it's a team cheer. These kids have no idea about teamwork or team play, none whatsoever. It's me, what can I get out of this? Me. Once again, cupcake parents raising selfish, entitled, and lazy children. So really, I focus as much as I can on selflessness and teamwork, but it is an uphill battle. Because mom and dad have no concept at all either, right? Their behavior is exactly the same. Me. So not one single child thanked this coach, not one. And I walked over to him and I said to him, I shook his hand, great guy, great coach. And I said, listen, I said, Adam, I said, thank you for everything you did for my daughter, Emery. We appreciate your coaching and your leadership. She enjoyed all of these sessions. You make it fun. You get these kids working hard, and you do an outstanding job of teaching them life skills. And my wife, Chris, and I, we appreciate it. And thank you for coaching Emery and making a difference in her life. Well, you should have seen his body language, his breathing, the smile on his face, because I've been in his shoes for 20 years. I've been coaching youth sports for 20 years. Everything from t-ball to hockey to baseball to skating. I mean, everything under the sun. And I know what it's like nowadays to, put your heart and your soul and your time into something and volunteer. and to make a difference, a measurable difference in these young people's lives, and to have parents that are so absolutely clueless, who are so lazy, selfish, and entitled. And of course, they're the example to lazy, selfish, and entitled children. The apple falls beside the tree, right? More is caught than taught. It's so demoralizing. It's so frustrating when you stand there at the last session, when you've bought them pizza, or you've given them these goofy participation medals or whatever it is. And I always have to tell the kids to thank the volunteers. So, you know, then they go and they shake the volunteer's hand, but it's forced upon them, right? I don't really feel that's my job. I take it on. But once again, then they don't say anything to you. So, you know, this is called, like, this is the social fabric of our country now, where everything is about me, 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 me. It's not about serving people. It's not about helping other people. It's not about your fellow human being. It's all about me, me, me. But the lack of gratitude and the lack of old-fashioned manners is a situation that Krista and I, my wife Krista and I, talk about. In the positive side of it is, if you can teach your children and your grandchildren and your own ass to have old-fashioned manners and etiquette every day, you're literally loading the deck. You're stacking the deck in your favor. You're giving yourself, as an entrepreneur, as a salesperson, as a husband, as a father, you're literally giving yourself an unfair advantage, because 99.9% of people now have no basic manners and have no basic etiquette and zero professionalism. You know, they don't have the integrity or the brains to send a thank you card, a handwritten thank you card. You know, they can't shake hands properly. They can't make eye contact. They can't give a sincere compliment. They can't connect with a volunteer, a school teacher, or a coach, or a consultant. It's just mind-blowing to watch this, especially in our children. Cupcake parents raising snowflake children. So, I mean, the difference when I thanked Coach Adam, you can just see that that's why he does it. Like volunteer coaches, I mean, he gets paid. I mean, that's what he does. But I mean, he's not making much money at this. This is his passion. This is his obsession. And I know as a coach that you live for that stuff. You live for appreciation for your efforts. You don't live for everybody to pat you on the back. I mean, you're in the wrong sport if you're looking for gold stars and attaboys in the coaching or teaching profession. But man, oh man, it's nice once in a while to get a compliment or a thank you from somebody you respect, whether it's the athlete, whether it's the student, whether it's the parent. But they're few and far between. And you know, Adam went 0 for 7 there. And I was surprised at some of these kids. You know, I expected a few of them there. You know, the parents they just drop them off. And if they pick them up, they're on their phone. So these kids, there was a couple of kids in this program that are just lost. By age 8, they're lost. I mean, they're talking about video games during the drills. My daughter, Emery, she mentions things. She says, like, just lost. And then you have some really, really good kids. But again, not taught old-fashioned manners and etiquette. And really, you almost burn a bridge with a coach or a teacher or an influencer or somebody that's in a position to maybe help you along later in life. Like you're literally putting a stick of dynamite under a bridge and blowing it up. I always say, when it comes to etiquette and manners, what our etiquette and manners, it starts with us, and it filters down into our kids. Is when it comes to etiquette and manners, in my situation, is it either opens doors for you or it closes doors. It either opens doors or it closes doors. And in 2024, I believe that old-fashioned manners and etiquette, sincere thank yous, sincere you're welcome, sincere handshakes, sincere gratitude, sincere all of that stuff. I just think that stuff it just absolutely gives you an extra player on the field. And you're going to be doing the opposite of everybody when everybody's blowing up relationships, when everybody's blowing up their burning bridges. You're building relationships. And that's the way it goes in my business with entrepreneurs and small business owners. Like, it's pretty incredible to see the difference between a person who is genuinely grateful for you helping them. It could be somebody thanking you in the comments on a video like this. It could be somebody thanking you in an email, somebody faxing me a note of appreciation. I get all kinds of handwritten thank you cards in my mail. But a person just sitting down to take the time to express some gratitude for what you're doing. And it makes such a difference because they've built a bridge. And like I say, it opens doors or it closes doors. So compare that with the person. And it's interesting. I went to the mailbox yesterday here in Naples, and all of a sudden I've got this handwritten letter from John Solkowski, who is one of my top Badass Brotherhood clients. And I had lunch with John last week, and we had a great time talking about fatherhood and being married and family and empire building. And we sat out on the ocean, and just a great guy, and we have a lot in common. And I agreed a few months ago to have lunch with him and take time out of my schedule. But I'm more than happy to break bread with a guy like that. So we had a great time. So, you know, he sent me an email after he thanked me for my feedback. I helped him with a little bit we talked some marketing. We talked about some sales. And, you know, he sends me an email thanking me. He also showed up to the lunch, and the first thing he does is he gives. The first thing he does is he gives. He has a package there with his 3 books that he's written. Yes, 3 books. You know, giving first, right? Being of service first, and then it's like that's the impression that a person like that makes, as opposed to a taker. My grandfather always said, Michael, there's only 2 types of people in the world. He says there's givers and there's takers. There's givers and there's takers. And he said you can break those people down into producers and consumers. There's people that take, me, consume, leave things worse off than they got them, take, me. And then there's the givers, the rainmakers, the service people, the givers, the people of significance. And it's about service. It's about give first. How can I help? And it's about the team. And it's about leaving things better than you found them. Whether it's pushing in a chair, whether it's helping somebody, whether it's a smile and a compliment, whether it's a handwritten thank you card in 2024. But just think about what Sir John was able to accomplish here. First of all, he went to the great difficulty of finding out where I live. So my mailing address is not my home address. So here I get this in my home mailbox. I used to do the same thing when I would send stuff to my mentor, Dan Kennedy. I would actually go and find his home address, and I would send him my newsletter, thank you cards, notes. And my thinking there was that, you know what, if his personal mailbox, I'm going to get more of his attention, which I did. I remember Dan asking me one time, he's like, Michael, you're so relentless. You actually send mail to my house. And he says, you know what? You have my undivided attention when you do that. So John went to that great lengths, and then he's got a nice handwritten card that my wife Krista put on the island in the kitchen. Compare that to an email or a text or nothing at all. I mean, he wasn't obligated to send me anything, but man, is it ever nice when you take 2 hours out of your busy day and you invest it with a client like John, and all of a sudden, you know, you get a surprise in the mail, and it reignites your belief in certain people. And this is just old-fashioned etiquette. This is just old-fashioned manners. And it goes a long way. And what do you think John did? Do you think he burned a bridge with me by taking that time? Or do you think he built a relationship? Or do you think that, did he close a door or did he open a door? And like Walt Disney said, when you do nothing, when you just do nothing, maybe you send an email, but that's doing nothing. You do nothing. When somebody does something for you, then you literally have burned the bridge. You literally, you know, people like the lazy intellects who don't understand, it's called intellectual currency. This is what this is all called, intellectual currency. So when you thank people genuinely, when you send thank you cards, when you send notes of thanks, when you do things that matter, you send flowers, you send a gift, you send a book, whatever it is, that's called intellectual currency. And those are all deposits, right? So what did John do? He made a deposit in the bank account when it came to, you know, intellectual or social currency. I mean, he's a, you know, if a guy like that was in a situation where he needed my help in the future, what are the chances of me ignoring his request, which I would do with somebody that's burned the bridge, or somebody that the door was closed by lack of manners and etiquette, versus somebody like him who gave first. They're a giver, not a taker. And then he finishes up by sending me a handwritten thank you card that ends up on our kitchen island. It's class. It anoints you as a classy professional pro, and it makes you leapfrog the 99%. It's like, well, okay, that guy's all class, that girl's all class. And every time I go to get the mail, especially our business mail, I mean, I'm very fortunate. My mailbox is full of letters, handwritten cards, faxes, gifts, all kinds of gifts, books. I work with incredibly generous people, but when I'm out in the great unwashed arses, when I'm out in the general public, it's just insane. And that pickleball is a perfect example. So I took it one step further. Instead of just being critical of the Cupcake parents raising Cupcake children, my daughter wasn't able to attend that last session, and I saw how much, you know, my thanking made to coach, that I said, well, I'm going to take this one step further. So Emery was away at the theater production, and good morning. She was at the theater production, and I decided that she was going to pick up the phone and call coach when she got home that night. And it's so easy not to bother, right? It's so easy. Oh, she's tired and it's bedtime and all this kind of stuff. So she landed home at about 8:30, 8:45, and I called her over and I had a little discussion. I said, you know, when people compliment you or thank you for your dog walking or your, you know, anything that you're doing, your podcast, I said, how much does that mean to you? She said, oh, Daddy, when people compliment me on my podcast or my clients thank me for walking their dog, she said, it makes me feel really, really good. It makes me want to continue. I said, how would you like to do that for somebody else? And she said, I'd love to do that for somebody else. I said, Adam is a guy who has really helped you in the last 7 weeks. He's a great coach. I said, he's one of your favorite coaches, right? She's like, absolutely. And I said, what do you think it would mean to him? He's sitting at home right now, and his phone rings, and it's you just calling to give him a special thanks. I know you couldn't attend the final session, which bothered you, but I said, how about turning a negative into a massive positive? And she went and got the phone and the phone number, and literally she went outside by the pool by herself. She wasn't sure what to say. I said, you know what you say? You identify yourself. You say, hi, coach. This is Emery McLean. I wanted to call you tonight just to thank you for being my coach, for coaching us over the last 2 months. And I want to let you know how much fun I had and how much I enjoyed being coached by you. And I hope that I see you again. And that's exactly what she did. She went out to the pool and she got on the phone, and it wasn't easy, and it wasn't, but it only took a couple minutes. You know how kids are. They're like, they don't want to, kids today don't talk on the phone because they're not made to talk on the phone. But I just thought to myself when she came in, she had a big, massive smile on her face. Gratitude reciprocates, right? We receive through the hole. The size of the hole we give through is the size of the hole we receive through. So she made that phone call. It was the only one he got. And I just thought to myself, talk about building bridges. Talk about opening doors. If there was ever a situation, you don't think like that, but if there was ever a situation down the road where you want to start another clinic, or you're trying to get him to coach another clinic, or you need a reference or something down the road, long-term thinking, you have literally opened a door. You've literally built a bridge while everybody else has closed the door. Everybody has burned the bridge. Well, Michael, you don't have to recognize and thank a person. I hear this from the normies all the time. I didn't do anything. I just walked out the door or whatever. Well, that's burning a bridge. When somebody's looking after you or your kids or your grandkids, or teaching you, or a seminar or a mastermind or whatever it is, and you do the least amount that you can do, I'm sorry, but you just burned that bridge and you just closed that door. You know how my kings, my $30,000 mastermind guys, you know how those guys, the number way they thank me, it's amazing, is they actually shoot a video, which isn't easy for all of them, and they shoot a testimonial video for me at the end of our 8-week program, at my 12-month program. And I was just like, wow. The guys that took the time to shoot the video, it wasn't easy for them. Some of them are not used to being on camera all the time. And one by one, these would roll in, and there's a nice video testimonial for myself. And I'm just like, wow, ultimate gratitude. Plus, I received a handwritten thank you card from each of them, a nice text. Burning bridges versus building bridges. It's all about relationships. I mean, I remember Grant Cardone said, there are no strangers. When it comes to making money, when it comes to business, when it comes to selling, when it comes to getting rich, there are no strangers. There's no money without people. I don't care what your product or service is, but when it comes down to it, you know, it's your curiosity, it's your relationship with people, it's your fascination with people, it's your ability to get people to hand you and give you money for you solving their problem. I mean, it's all about people. There's no money without people. And that's why it's important to be curious, not judgmental. That's why, like Cardone said, there is absolutely no strangers in business. There's no strangers in business. And I mean, you gotta find a way to be a people person. And I just talked about the number one way. So, it's something that is just killing the core of our Western world. This lack of gratitude, this lack of abundance mindset, this selfishness, this laziness, this entitlement. Cupcake parents raising snowflake children. So I want to share with you what you can do, but it all starts with you. It all starts with how you treat your queen, how you treat your children, how you treat your grandchildren, how you treat your managers and your employees, your vendors. I mean, what example are you setting? Do you have a stack of handwritten thank you cards like I've had on my table in front of the television for the last 25 years? I just sit there at night and I'll be watching ESPN or TSN or watching a bit of the game, and I would just write 3 cards, 4 cards, 5, anybody that day that made a difference for me. It could be a friend at the Rotary Club. It could have been somebody in the insurance business. It could have been one of the local politicians. It could have been anybody that made a difference. It could have been a mom, a dad, a player, whatever. And I would send out these 3, 4, 5 cards a day, 7 days a week. And man, all I'm doing is building bridges. All I'm doing is opening doors. So instead of complaining what you see around you, the complete lack of manners and etiquette, I think it's time that we all, and myself included, look at this and say, what am I selling? What is my example selling inside my house? What's my personal example selling to my queen, my children, my grandchildren, my employees, my customers? Because if it's going to be, it's up to me, right? So we need more is caught than taught. So, I mean, getting my daughter on the phone there to pick up the phone and thank Coach Adam, I think that's something that's going to serve her well the rest of her life. And Emery has a little stack of thank you cards whenever she gets a person that hires her for a one-off, just a one dog, because most of them are clients, right? She has 3 clients. She walks their dog all the time, and they buy packages with her dog walking company. And she always sends a thank you card. As soon as she gets money, she sits down and writes a thank you card, and we literally deliver it to the house in the community. Now, last night she gets a phone call from a doctor, a female doctor, and she wants Emery to start walking her dog. So soon as she signs her up, the next thing that Emery will do is sit down and write a handwritten thank you card to this person, and she'll literally hand deliver it. She puts it under the mat, by the mat. She does at the front door just before she walks her first dog. So what a way to make a first impression, a lasting impression. Like Walt Disney says, if it's not a wow, it doesn't count. If your first impression, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you write thank you cards, the way you show gratitude, the way you show integrity and professionalism, if it's not a wow, don't bother. If you think you're going to have a lasting impact with a text or an email to somebody by doing the least that you can, it's don't even bother. Just go sit with the rest of the normies and be invisible. Yeah, Walt Disney, if it wasn't a wow, he didn't bother. Nobody's going to talk about anything that isn't a wow. Nobody's going to share a story that wasn't a wow. Nobody's going to talk about or show the card or tell the story if it's not a wow. So you can download a free copy of my new ebook, 5 Ways to Unfuck Your Life in the Next 30 Days. The link is below. Just put in your email and I'll email you a digital copy of the book within 5 minutes. It's free. There's no funnel. There's no fancy website. It's just your email, and then I send you the book by email. That's it. There's no upsells. There's no fancy one funnel away, none of that horse shit. It's just a 22-page book, balls to the wall, that I put together for any entrepreneur, any husband, any father that wants to unfuck their life. in the next month. Doesn't take 2 months, doesn't take 6 months, doesn't take 12 months. If you take a handful of these 5 ideas, 1, 2, 3, and apply them, you will literally transform your life in the next 30 days. But you got to take it to heart. Print it off, highlight it, study it, share it with your wife, share it with your adult children, share it with the people that need to hear it in your world, and it's free to yours. It's free to yours to do what you want. And I appreciate any feedback and comments below. It's just, it really helps me write the next book. So you can download a copy at brassballsvideos.com, and or you can click the link below. 5 ways to unfuck your life in the next 30 days. And admittedly, who in the hell doesn't need to unfuck their life from time to time? I know I have many, many, many dozens of times. And these are the 5 ways, the best ways that I've been able to unfuck my life in business and in personal life many, many, many times. I hope you download it. I hope you print it off. I hope you read it. I hope you take this 22-page book to heart. And I can't wait to hear your feedback in the comments below. Hey, with manners and etiquette, you're either opening doors or you're closing doors. And that decision and responsibility is up to you. Make sure that you're doing the opposite of the ordinary, average, and mediocre normies. Head the opposite direction. Make manners, make etiquette, make gratitude part of your DNA. Make it part of your life. Make sure that you're showing gratitude and appreciation for the people in your world that are helping you, and make sure that we're building bridges, not burning them. And show up like nobody else. Show up like nobody else with that attitude of gratitude. You'll get through the hole what you give through. The size of the hole you receive will always be the same size of the hole that you gave. So be a giver, not a taker. Be a builder, not a consumer. Be a person who serves, and stay away from that victimhood. Be a victor, not a victim. That's it. 2 words that change my life. 2 words that can change yours. Be relentless.